So it's been, about a little over a week, about 2 weeks now, since we heard about the passing of Etika, the YouTuber. And I wanted to really talk about this with you guys and maybe give some words that might touch some people here on Speak Them. Now, I'm not really sure if I'm going to put this up on Saturday. I think it will go up on Saturday. I'm actually recording it on Monday of the week of July 1st. I'm recording on July 1st here because I want to get my thoughts out here. So, I don't know Etika. I've never met him before. I've seen a couple of his streams in the past. I never knew him on a personal level at all. I never met the guy. I actually almost did, though, because I went to a convention once and he was supposed to be the co-host for a panel, and he wound up not doing it for whatever reason. I'm not really sure what it was, but I never met the guy. But I saw a few of his streams. The first one I saw, I think, was the one where he went to the dark web, which was, pretty funny. But the whole time, I didn't know anything about Etika. Like, Etika, as a content creator, and if you're watching this and you have no idea who Etika is, I think you should still stay tuned, because I have something to say about suicide and whatnot and things like that. But we'll get to that here in a minute. But I just want to talk about Etika for a second. I always thought the guy was kind of a showman. You know what I mean? He's kind of a comedian, kind of a very bombastic character. And he is someone who was known to do a lot of really abstract comedy and over the top stuff. So when he made that video a few weeks ago saying that apologizing and actually discussing possibly being suicidal, a lot of people took it as a prank, because the dude is known to be a comedian. He's done pranks like this before. And even I myself was like, okay, this is another one of those, practical jokes, Andy Kaufman type things. It's like, whatever. He's very good at garnering attention for himself. And then when I found out that he actually died, and at first I was stunned and I was speechless, but when I saw that the NYPD reported on it, they're not going to lie. The NYPD found his body in the water in New York. I was stunned. I was shocked, because you would never expect that. And it really reminded me of what happened with Robin Williams. Robin Williams and Etika have some similarities here in that they're both relatively known for their comedy. They're both in fact, their comedy isn't even that different. Very loud, very, bombastic, very quick. I use that word bombastic, but that's the best word to describe these guys. And obviously, I grew up with Robin Williams. With Etika, some people listening to this probably did grow up with him. Obviously when Twitch and YouTube came around, I was already grown up. So it was like, whatever. But, they both had depression, apparently. And again, I don't know for certain, but they both, had depression. And just for the record, I'm not going to monetize this video. I just want to tell everybody that this video will not be monetized. I'm going to instead encourage you, when you get done watching this video, to, if you can, donate to a mental health organization out there. Even Etika's family came out and said this. So I think we should do it. But, when Robin Williams committed suicide, people didn't understand. How could somebody that's so funny and so loving of life have taken their own? And the truth is that when you're depressed, when there's actual depression, I've talked about this a little bit before, it doesn't matter how funny you are or how funny you think life is. When there's real depression, you are essentially, they call it tears of a clown. You are essentially, in a way, sort of masking it, in a way, sort of hiding it through your comedy, but also just because somebody acts a certain way, and I've said this I don't know how many times, it's not reflective of what's really going on in their head. So you go, we all kind of wake up and you go to YouTube or you turn on TV and you see somebody who you like, and they're entertaining you, whether it be a comedian, athlete, whatever, but you really don't know what they're going through. You don't know what's in between those ears. You don't know. And it pisses me off sometimes when I go on the web and I see people being complete douchebags to each other for no reason. They have no idea what's going on with the other person. They don't know. They have no clue. So Etika was this guy who, it seems like, and I'm basing this entirely on what I'm seeing. I don't know the guy, so it's similar. I'm doing an assumption here. It seemed like he was dealing with some issues, personal issues, mental health issues. And even though a guy might come on YouTube, Twitch, or a television or a movie and be all funny and bombastic and loud, and it does not mean that there's not something going on much deeper. Now, I don't really know what happened. I know there's rumors. I've heard all kinds of rumors about how he was involved in a cult and he blew all his money. And I heard, because the dude was a very successful guy. He was getting a lot of streaming donations. The dude was raking in, relatively good money based on what I saw. Okay, again, based on what I've seen. It doesn't matter how much money you make. I mean, it matters in the sense of, obviously you can buy more things and do more things with more money, but money does not fix mental health problems, true mental health problems. And what pisses me off is people still in 2019 don't understand depression. Depression is not, I'm sad, even though there is a bit of sadness to it. Depression is not, I'm bummed out. Actual depression is a feeling of hopelessness, not a feeling of sadness. Because when you're sad, you eventually heal. Now, with depression, you may or may not heal. You can go to counseling, you can take medicine. There's different things you can do, but it's never a guarantee. You know what I'm saying? Depression is literally like chemicals in your brain being unbalanced. And you would be surprised as to how many content creators I know just in the Dragon Ball and the Star Wars sector on YouTube, because those are the two sectors that I interact with the most, and movies too. But I know pretty much, I can't say all, but about 95% of the Dragon Ball content creators, I know them. I've spoken to them. And with Star Wars, I know about 75%. When I went to Celebration a couple years ago, I got to know a lot of them. And you would be surprised as to how many of them deal with depression every single day. Big channels, small channels, successful channels, decent channels, or even wealthy channels have dealt with this problem. So just because you see somebody on the internet like Etika getting these $1,000 donations, you're thinking, man, that guy's on top of the world. I wish I could be him. I get it. But you don't know what's really going on. And I want to talk about this for a moment and just kind of tell people, like, I have very weird thoughts. Not weird. I have very conflicted thoughts on the whole suicide thing, because it's one of those things where I don't feel, as much as I want to be that guy to say don't do it, I don't really know what's going on. And when you're hopeless, you really feel hopeless. If you have it really bad, you feel like there's nothing you can do and that you would rather not be alive than be here. It's a feeling that many people understand and many people don't. So what I can say is this. The Etika thing seemed to have been something that was built up for a very long time. And I do wish that there was an investigation done into that supposed cult or whatever, and they look into this, because it is something I think needs to be discussed and looked into. But, I don't, when I was younger, I would always be that guy who, because I have friends who are suicidal, and I'd always be the guy to kind of talk them off the ledge. And it's good to be that guy, because the thing about suicide, about killing yourself, is that there's no coming back from it. This is not like self-sabotaging a relationship, getting yourself fired, or even damaging your own property and things like that, or hurting somebody, even though that's not good either. I don't want somebody else to get hurt because of you. When you commit it, when you do the deed, there's no coming back if you're successful at it. And it's a very serious thing, because we as people love other people and don't want them to go, but they think that they can go and that they have to go. Not that they really want to go, but they have to. They cannot live in this world. And then I start thinking to myself, okay, am I being selfish for wanting them to stay? It's something I've thought about before. Like, am I being a selfish person for not wanting one of my friends to commit suicide? And people have been, posting the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline and the National Suicide Hotline, and it is a good thing to call them and talk to them and get support from people and whatnot. As a friend of somebody who might have suicidal tendencies, if you're one of these people, I feel like it's important to be a good listener, and it's important to remind them that there's no coming back, and that a lot of people love them, which is probably true. I don't know everybody on earth, but you never know. That people love them, and that there's always a way. And again, they're not going to think there's always a way, but there's usually another way out of a problem. But when you have depression, right, your judgment is being clouded, like you don't really understand. I've had depression. I've never really had thoughts of doing anything to myself, except for one time in my life I did. It crossed my mind for just a second. Not gonna lie about it. It happened to me once. And I've been terminally ill for a while. And I'm still here. I'm still fighting. I'm trying. And somebody who does this to themselves, it's important to not look at them like they're beneath you, or look at them like they're crazy, because that's not what's going on here. It is a legit issue with some people. It is a real problem. And again, I really feel for Etika's family. His fan base is just rabid. They love the guy. And it just goes to show that even if you have tons, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who adore you online, it doesn't mean anything if you have something wrong with you chemically, or something wrong with you in your head. And if you're out there, just I understand if you've had these thoughts. And I'm not going to sit here and say, don't do it, even though I don't want you to. Because like I said, there's no coming back. But remember that. There's no coming back. And remember the good times in your life. The things that made you happy. And remember that as long as you're here, you can do them over and over and over again. If you like bowling, if you like going to theme parks, if you like, I don't know, whatever, playing video games, you may not get to do that when you're gone. Obviously we're not going to talk about religious beliefs in the afterlife on this video, but let's just look at it practically here from an earthly perspective. And again, I wish that I knew more about Etika as a person. As a creator, I know he's big in Nintendo. I understand who he was online. But like I've said time and time again, who he is online is not necessarily who they are. People know Geekdom 101. And I show a lot more of myself on this channel of who I really am. But they really don't know the day-to-day of my life, or anybody else. I mean, you don't know. You don't know what I do when I wake up, what I think about, who I'm thinking about, or what I'm thinking about. But people just assume that they know. They're assholes on the internet. But there's good people as well. I mean, most people are good people. I like to think that. And people are going to sit there and say stuff like, well, Etika should have thought about his family. It's like, when you have real depression, dude, you don't even think about those things sometimes. Even though there's, people will make those arguments. It's not like that. Because it's a genuine feeling of hopelessness. A genuine feeling of, I don't want to be here anymore. Waking up every day is a chore more than something I look forward to. That's how they think about it. That's how they see it. Millions of followers, or thousands for Etika. I don't know anything about his family. I don't know what his history is personally. Maybe there is an answer there somewhere, but all I can do is just kind of remind people, number one, tell those who you care about that you love them frequently. There's no shame in saying that. And number two, remember that there's no coming back. So, if you succeed, just remember that. Because you don't want to go before you've done everything that you want to do. Try to remember it. And mental health is something that it's kind of BS because psychologists are very expensive, and everybody I think needs therapy. I think every human being needs some form of therapy. Some more than others, but I think everyone needs it. And it sucks that some people out there can't afford it. You just can't. You can't afford going to a counselor. And there are some good, like I used to go, when my therapist charged me $60 a session, and I would go, once every 2 weeks or once every week. That's not too bad. But think about it, $60 for an hour, it's a lot of money. It adds up after a while, after a few months and whatnot. But I learned a lot about myself when I went to counseling. I went for other issues that I was going through at the time. And I just feel like I don't want anybody to hurt themselves. But also I understand why you do. But like I said, remember, there's no coming back. And there might be a better way. I'm not saying anything. I'm saying there might be a better way. It's a really sad situation. People have been totally heartbroken over this for a while. But really, I feel for the guy's family and his friends, his close friends. And they are going to be damaged too. And it sucks. Because when somebody who does this, and if you know them personally, it's like you almost take it like it's your fault. Like you feel guilty sometimes. And I'm not saying they do. I'm saying that's how it feels sometimes. And it's tough for everyone. So that's all I have to say. There's my video about Etika, my thoughts. And if you're out there and you're dealing with something like that, just remember there's no coming back. Don't do anything hasty. See if you can find another way. Because I love you, and I know others do too.